Welcome to A Dozen Eyes Minus One. The scene opens up with this dumbass kid and her sister getting chained and killed by this angel-looking stand thing. And his childhood friend sees this and gets traumatized. Then we cut to the next scene where this girl is doing some satanic ritual shit. And a strong wind cuts her shoulder and leaves a scar telling that she is meeting the chosen one or some shit. Then some years later, the boy who was chained to death was alive, and he grew up along with his childhood friend. The boy's name is Kakeru, aka Anime Nick Fury.
What?
And the girl's name is Yuka, aka Nick Fury's bitch. We'll just call them Nick Fury and the bitch to avoid confusion. Then boring stuff happens where they meet up with their friends and invites them to this convention, where he hesitates but decides to go anyway in the last minute. Wow, talk about being a tsundere, huh?
Sussy baka.
Anyway, the pair then crosses to this bridge and some PewDiePie bridge reference happens,
What a fucking
where the both of them experience some migraines and were transported to this dark dimension, where these weird ass looking monsters are start appearing. They were about to get raped, but the dimension starts to shatter and they were sent back to the real world. The next morning comes, the pair goes to school and this ghost girl is stalking them. Then we get introduced to a new character. Her name is Momo. Then she said, "I'm not interested in talking to peasants." Then she approaches Nick Fury, but just as the bitch tries to protect her man, she immediately blacks out.
Good night, girl.
He takes her to the infirmary, and this wolf boy shows up and says, "Get the fuck out of fucking way, cunt." Then he shoves them out of the way, and this sexy ass nurse appears.
Oh, that's hot.
Then the pair goes home and plans to go to the convention, and the ghost girl is stalking them again. The pair learn their lesson not to cross the bridge, just like PewDiePie.
Nope.
They enjoy themselves while the ghost girl and Momo are stalking. The ghost girl reveals herself to Nick Fury, and turns out it is his sister. They were transported back to the dark dimension again. The pair quickly got surrounded by monsters just like before, but then a redhead girl with electric sword saves them from getting gangbanged. Then they start introducing themselves. Then a bright light appears in the middle of the city. Then the redhead bitch starts doing some sign language Illuminati symbol shit, and she locates that the source of the power is in the middle of those huge ass crystal pillars. Kusakabe said, "I'll go there and you both can stay here because you are useless without your powers." Then a group of monsters suddenly attacks them, and the redhead bitch used her sword power. And at the same time, the Alice in Chains girl also helps them as they run. Nick Fury and the gang heads to the crystal towers to find an escape route in this crimson night. Then his sore eye suddenly starts to hurt, and a lady monster shows up and tries to fight them. Kusakabe used some vape wind technique to escape the monster. Then the gang arrives at the crystal pillar thing. Then they see a girl being trapped inside. The girl said,
Oh my god, stop bro, I'm stuck. Can you help me?
"I'll help you if you help us escape this Crimson Knight shit. But I'm not the one responsible for this." Then a group of Power Ranger Knights shows up and attacks the gang. And it fades to black and they were sent back to the normal world. Nick Fury and the bitch heads to the library to find some answers about the Crimson Knight. As he gets the book, he saw his dead sister behind the shelf, and she left a note behind. The three gathered at the rooftop and saw a black moon during the day, which foreshadows that something bad is gonna happen. Nick Fury meets up with Kusakabe and asks her to teach her and train him the way of the sword, and she refuses. But a moment later, she sees him training alone and she agrees to train him. We then jump back into her house where she tells Nick Fury about the 5 swords of the Kusakabe household and how she owns them. Then they start training for Area 51. Kusakabe shares some stories onto the bitch and how she murdered her dad for not coming back after buying some milk.
He needs some milk.
Then Nick Fury gets frustrated about the training regimen. Then his sore eyes suddenly acts up again and they were transported back onto the Crimson World. The monster team sends some fighters to kill the 3. Kusakabe fights the monsters as usual and Nick Fury uses the secret Joestar technique. The monster attacks the pair and flips the car and makes them unconscious. But Alice in Chains saves them again. On the other hand, Kusakabe was about to be killed by a monster, but a mysterious girl helps her win the fight. Then we cut back to the gang having a meeting along with the glasses bitch about the Crimson Knight. Kusakabe noticed that the monsters called them fragments and she thought that it was kinda sus. Then Glasses bitch starts to tell the gang that she's also been in the Crimson Knight and she was saved by a fellow student. Coincidentally, it was the wolf boy that saved her. He then introduces himself into the gang and sarcastically commends Nick Fury for surviving without powers, and he starts walking away. Then Glasses Bitch invites him to join the squad, and he replied, well, that's some hard-boiled answer right there. Anyway, Nick Fury continues his training with the best girl, and she strikes him and knocks him down after seeing an opening and asks, "What are you fighting for?" "I'm doing this for that useless bitch right there." "Well, let me tell you a little secret. You need to turn your feelings into power. You know, just like in Dragon Ball where they turn into Super Saiyan." Nick Fury saw the future where Kusakabe is aiming for the useless bitch and instinctively protects her. As they gather for another meeting, they were transported back to the Crimson Knight. Glasses Bitch notices that the Wolf Boy is fighting some monsters again. Then a higher class monster suddenly appears, and it's the best girl's job to protect their asses again, where she is clearly struggling. Then Glasses Bitch turns into badass mode by removing her glasses, just like Superman, and goes sicko mode onto the monsters. She almost beats it, but she was stabbed in the ass by the lady monster, and she died. Lamau. Wolf Boy then arrives and roasts them like a pork belly.
That belly of pork is gonna almost melt in your mouth.
Suddenly, the Crimson Knight starts to end. Glasses Bitch stands back up again and explains that she has a regeneration power. Nick Fury and the useless bitch heads to the club room, where Glasses Bitch finally introduces Wolf Boy as a member of the club. Kusakabe then comes in with another girl, and it is Alice in Chains. Her name is Kikuri, the same as her sister. The pair are shocked to see her because they thought it was his sister, but turns out it is not. The reason is she can't speak, while his sister can. Wolf Boy gets the fuck out of the club room and rides his bike. Then he stumbles around and gets his bike destroyed just before it hits the wall. Nick Fury then challenges Kusakabe to a swordsmanship duel. Just before he can attack, Kusakabe stopped him and said, "Your stance, the aggressiveness, and not thinking properly, it's what makes you a beta." They were transported back to the Crimson Knight. Kusakabe gives him a sword to protect his bitch and runs away. Then one of the Black Knight appears and throws Nick Fury around like a sack of potatoes. Then the monster tries to attack the bitch, but Nick Fury defends her. Then his blind eye suddenly opens up. He then unlocks his observation haki skill and cuts the Black Knight in half like a bread.
That's a lot of damage!
And he collapses. The gang then carries Nick Fury into a safe place. Kusakabe then gets naked and starts a demonic ritual to heal him. And the main bitch sees this and starts overthinking that she can't get his BBC.
Emotional damage!
The gang gather around to discuss the plan on the upcoming fight. Then the Crimson Knight starts and the dumbest bitch was missing, even though she was clearly right in front of Nick Fury right before it started. Anyway, a huge mob of monsters swarms them. Kusakabe asks one of the main bosses, "Hey, why do you call us fragments? And what's the reason behind on why do you promote this child abuse?" "Oh, it's a secret and you'll know it in the later episodes. But for now, all you need to know is that your existence is a sin." "Oh, okay, don't spoil it for me. So now, we have to kill you." The gang then proceeds to fight the boss. Nick Fury then decides to use his sore eyes, but he still can't control it. But luckily, Alice in Chains defeats the boss and he runs away. The gang splits up to find the bitch, but luckily, Four Eyes finds her. Four Eyes tells her past about being a war machine, and only the phrase "for my friends and tomorrow" is keeping her from going insane. Nick Fury, Wolf Boy, and Kusakabe are fighting one of the Black Knights. Then Four Eyes and Alice in Chains shows up to help, but they still got their asses whipped. The Black Knight uses her suicidal explosion move, but the bitch uses her new powers, which can only be used one time, and it can dispel other powers. Her powers are so lame. You can only use them one time though. It's so boring. Anyway, Nick Fury talks to Alice in Chains and said, "You're the one who wrote that the demon has awoken because of me, right? Take my virginity. Just don't hurt my little bitch." Then Kusakabe talks to Kakeru about the monster in the last fight, and she may be one of her family members. Then she cuts her arm and lets Nick Fury drink her blood in order for him to get stronger. Then the bitch sees this and she collapses again. Back at school, the white-haired lolly notices a crow spying on her and eliminates it. Nick Fury and Kusakabe continued their training, and using his golden eye powers, he finally lands a hit on Kusakabe. The bitch saw this and gives her a handkerchief and suddenly licks her blood so that she can become the same as him. Oh, fuck off. This bitch is so dumb. She could have some disease and you just licked her. Congrats, now you're infected. Anyway, Nick Fury and the bitch cleans the house, because she is aware that they are a bunch of freeloaders. Then the white-haired loli shows up and tries to kill him. She said, "I am here sent by the Holy Something organization, and we need your artificial eye because you have awoken the demon." Then Wolf Boy and Four Eyes heads to the infirmary and saw the sexy hot nurse being tied in a rope upside down, and he was impaled, and not in a sex way. Wolf Boy unleashes his rage onto the Black Knight and chases her all around the city and destroys everything. Meanwhile, white-haired Lolly told Nick Fury that the organization needs his help because he possesses the Golden Eye Sharingan, and he is responsible for waking up the demons, and it's his job to finish what he's done. Then the Black Knights are on the move by attacking them into the real world. Kusakabe runs all the way back to the mansion to give Nick Fury his sword, and proceeds to brawl it out with the help of Alice in Chains until the Crimson Night starts. The Black Knight reveals herself as one of the Kusakabe family members and said, "I am the strongest member of the household. I know all your techniques, even the sucking dick move." Kusakabe attacks her, but she blocks it and destroys her sword in the process. The Black Knight tries to kill her, but luckily, Nick Fury uses some Thor-like powers to protect Kusakabe. The Black Knight said, "Oh, so you've sucked her period blood and you gain the powers of the Kusakabe family. We'll finish this later." And she bails out. After the fight, white-haired Lolly explains that the Holy Ministry shit are here to save the world from evil. And Nick Fury concludes that the Black Knight are here to serve their own justice. White-haired Lolly says, "They call us fragments because we possess some kind of magic crystals. That's the reason why we can use these powers. And these are the things that they want from us." Then she explains that there are 7 fragments, one of each main characters, and the lolly imprisoned in the crystal. And if you can gather them all, it can summon a dragon and grant you a wish. She also said that the lolly in the crystal is a badass bitch, and they must prevent her from gathering all the 7 Dragon Balls, or else she will wish hell on earth, because she wants to fulfill her boyfriend's wish by creating a new world, but he died before having the chance to do it. Then Alice in Chains doesn't feel so good and starts disintegrating, and she explains that she is just a bitch's figure of imagination. Then we cut into Four Eyes going so low in attacking the Black Knights for her revenge on the Wolf Boy. She goes psycho mode on the enemy, but it wasn't enough. Then the Black Knight fingers her, and not in the sex way, and gets the fragment, and now they obtained 2 out of 7. The gang arrives at the scene and they were too late. White-haired Lolly starts attacking, but the simp Black Knight saves her queen and lets go of the crystal. The bitch picks it up and gives it to the witch and sets her free. What a fucking retard. She was clearly there sucking Kakeru's dick while the white-haired Lolly told her the story about the witch. Anyway, then Lolly Scarlet gives her thanks and attacks her. Kakeru quickly rushes to block the attack, but it destroys his sword and kills the bitch. Good God, finally. The Black Knights changed their attack target to the witch, but before that, they sent Kakeru and Kusakabe back to the original world, but white-haired Lolly was able to block it with a barrier. Then the Black Knights and the white-haired Lolly joined forces along with the real Alice in Chains to defeat the Scarlet Witch. On the other hand, Nick Fury and Kusakabe were sent back to the real world. Kusakabe told Nick Fury that the bitch may still be alive. The pair then strategizes for the upcoming fight. Then Kusakabe suggests that they should fuck each other to get stronger, because fucking someone with the Kusakabe bloodline is like a cheat code. It unlocks a hidden power or some shit.
A good deal. A good deal.
Oh my god, I can't believe they've done this route, man. I mean, if I were him, I would do her too, you know? He literally just fucked the best girl in the anime. Anyway, they've finished fucking and the bitch shows up and says, "It's all done. You don't have to worry about anything." Then Kakeru approaches her and the bitch says, "Lamau XD," and pegs him right into the chest and not in the sex way.
Fatality.
This feels a lot like hell.
The lolly Scarlet Witch takes over her body and says, "I need the Golden Eye to revive my husbando." Then she finally obtains one of the 7 Dragon Balls and Thanos snaps everyone.
Mission failed. We'll get them next time.
Yeah, it's rewind time.
Then we cut to a different timeline where the lolly Scarlet Witch hasn't killed the bitch yet. Nick Fury and the white-haired lolly protected the bitch, but Nick Fury decides to commit Sudoku to end everything. Then we fade to black, and Nick Fury dreams about the past where the bitch was supporting her from everything that happened throughout his life. Then he wakes up. White-haired lolly and Alice in Chains enters the room. White-haired lolly explains that there are different multiverses in this anime just like the MCU, and with different outcomes. In other multiverse, Nick Fury dies, and in this timeline, he lives. And their new job is now to contain Lolly Scarlet Witch to another universe or some shit. Then Lolly Scarlet Witch kidnaps the bitch and contains her into a crystal. By using all of their powers, white-haired Lolly turned into a doll, and Alice in Chains see it out for the second time. Nick Fury and Kusakabe along with the two Black Knights teamed up to defeat the Lolly Scarlet Witch. By using the Goku and Piccolo technique, they were able to contain the Scarlet Witch, and OG Kusakabe family member teleports the gang back to the real world. Then the last episode of the anime is just another fan service in another timeline. I don't know what happened to the real timeline, but this anime gets a one Piper Perry over 5 Nick Furies.